Good morning, and thanks for joining us. We're going to wait another minute or two for some other folks to join, and then we'll get started. For those who just joined, we're just going to give it another minute or so to let anyone join who wants to, and then we'll get started. Okay, well, one more. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Office of Energy Infrastructure Safeties, or Energy Safeties, public meeting to consider the adoption of the Energy Safety Certification Guidelines version 1.0. I am Susie Rose, the program manager for the Electrical Undergrounding and Culture Division at Energy Safety. And joining me today is Lauren Sabin, the program and project supervisor for the Safety Culture branch. Before I hand the meeting over to him, I'd like to provide a brief background and introduction for the Energy Safety Certification Guidelines. Pursuant to Public Utilities Code Section 8389E, an electrical corporation seeking a safety certification must provide documentation demonstrating it has satisfied the requirements identified in Public Utilities Code 8389E. A safety certification is valid for 12 consecutive months following the issuance of the safety certification. The guidelines we are considering for adoption today set forth the requirements for an electrical corporation to prepare and submit its safety certification request filing and prescribe the specific information an electrical corporation must provide in its filing. Additional process requirements for the safety certification request filings, including items such as accessibility requirements and naming conventions, are outlined in the Energy Safety Policy Division process guidelines that were adopted on February 21st, 2025. The draft safety certification guidelines were published on March 21st, 2025, and written public comments were due on April 21st, 2025. I will now hand things over to Lauren to go through our presentation on the safety certification guidelines. Over to you, Lauren.
Right, thank you, Susie. We can move to the next slide. All right, thank you. So the following revisions were made to the safety certification guidelines from last year in 2024 to this year, 2025. The first being that we did add version control to the guidelines. You'll see the guidelines are now titled as version 1.0. That was done to identify, organize, and manage current and previous versions of the guidelines. Second, we've removed duplicative information that is now provided in the newly adopted Energy Safety Policy Division process guidelines that Susie just referenced earlier. And third, a requirement was added to include any catchback plans for wildfire mitigation plans in the quarterly progress reports regarding WMP implementation. We can move to the next slide. The draft safety certification guidelines version 1.0 were published on March 21st of this year. Opening comments were due on April 10th. None were received. And the reply comments were due on April 21st, and none were also received there. Okay, next slide. Okay, thank you. Now we'll open up for public comment. If you'd like to comment, we just ask that you please press the raise hand button on Teams. Participants will be unmuted in the order of their hand being raised, and then any dial-in participants will need to press *5 to raise their hand. We'll now open it up to any public comments. Okay, again, if you'd like to comment, please press the raise hand button on Teams or press *5 for dial-in participants. Okay, and seeing no additional comments being requested at this time, we'll provide one last call for public comments. Otherwise, if we don't have any coming in at this moment, then we will go ahead and move on to the next phase of the meeting. Okay, we'll go ahead and close out the public comment period, and if we can move forward to the next slide, please. Okay, we'll hand it back over to Susie for adoption of the guidelines and closing remarks.
Thanks, Lauren. We'll now move to the portion of the public meeting where we'll consider adoption of the Safety Certification Guidelines version 1.0. Energy Safety issued notice of this public meeting on April 11th, 2025. Government Code Section 15475.6 provides that substantive changes to guidelines require at least 30 days written notice to the public and an opportunity to comment prior to adoption. Energy Safety introduced some modifications for the new Safety Certification Guidelines version 1.0 as summarized in Lauren's presentation from the prior version. Energy Safety released its draft Safety Certification Guidelines version 1.0 for public comment on March 21st, 2025 on the Safety Certifications Guidelines docket through Energy Safety's e-filing system with service to the associated service list, and we also published the draft guidelines on our website. Energy Safety accepted comments on the draft guidelines through April 21st, 2025, thereby providing the required 30-day comment period to the public. We did not receive any opening or reply comments, and the final guidelines remain consistent with the draft issued on March 21st with no changes made. Energy Safety has considered comments on the adoption of the Safety Certification Guidelines 1.0, and the final Safety Certification Guidelines version 1.0 are hereby adopted. A clean version of the adopted guidelines will be published on Energy Safety's website and released on the Guidelines-SC's docket through Energy Safety's e-filing system with service to the associated service list by April 28th, 2025, and we will also post the slides and recording of this meeting. Thank you for your participation in today's public meeting, and the meeting is now adjourned.